The Black Continent News, reintroducing Africa. The Feast of Baracuda is here again, and it is that time of the year when leaders, civil society organizations, private and public sector players gather to discuss ways to improve the economy and move Nigeria from where it is to where it ought to be in terms of development that are people centered. The 2025 Annual Feast of Baracuda is being hosted by the National Association of Seadogs, Pyrates Confraternity, Sahara and Zuma Deck, and this year's theme, Thriving Beyond Hardship, Unlocking Nigeria's Resources for Financial Stability and Economic Growth, is an indication that Nigeria is yet to actualize its potentials despite being blessed with natural resources.
Within constraints and solve problems that are the future belongs to those who can blend resilience.
Nigeria is not in short supply of human and material resources, but the challenge which many experts have observed here in this gathering is that right before Nigeria's independence till date, the nation is still struggling to put a square peg in a square hole. This means having the right leadership, implementing right economic policies, seeking for investment opportunities, and making the right investment, strengthening institutions, learning from what worked and what failed. And this is what this association is trying to achieve through the Feast of Baracuda.
What we're doing here today as Feast of Baracuda is to harvest ideas. So it is nothing rhetoric, it's for us to look at the areas where the government, our leaders need to improve. From the theme of today, you will see there's striving, there's hardship, there is resources, and there's unlocking. If you put these things together, one thing is clear, that yes, because of the resources there, it means that we have these resources. It also means that because we are still striving and there is still hardship in our society, it means that there are a lot that we ought to do that we haven't done. As an advocacy group, National Association of Seadogs, we have brought this distinguished guest here to come and x-ray some of these problems so that we'll look at how we can move from potential to actualizing them.
Participants here queried why Nigeria is still grappling with poverty despite its huge resources and observed that it is time to move away from petrol and diversify the economy.
Our long-standing dependence on oil revenue, while beneficial in many respects, has exposed us to volatility of the global markets. This reliance, like a double-edged sword, has yielded infrastructural strikes on one hand, but on the other, deepened our vulnerability to external shocks. To truly thrive beyond this hardship, we must adopt a multi-dimensional strategy, one that goes beyond rhetoric to focus on innovation, diversification, sustainability, and inclusive economic participation.
With over 40 types of solid mineral scattered across our nation, vast agricultural potential, and a resilient and creative population, Nigeria has more than enough to thrive.
By independence, per capita GDP, which means all the gross, everything produced in Nigeria, informal, public, private, if you total it together and divide it by our population, was far ahead of Ethiopia. Very far. By 2025, Nigeria has equal per capita GDP with Ethiopia. In 1960, we were world apart. In 2025, we have converged. So two things happened. Ethiopia converged, Nigeria diverged downwards. And then we met. We are now convergent. The second is that in 1994, Nigeria generated 1,450 megawatts, 1,450 megawatts supply to homes. That was before we started our reform in 2000. Taiwan had 1,300 and something megawatts. Today, Taiwan has 30,000. Nigeria has 4,025 megawatts. Best case scenario. Sometimes you have less than that. So clearly, something is not working.
Some of the guests agreed that Nigeria needs to contextualize its economic challenges within the framework of what is available and not rely on economic policies and advisories made by the World Bank and International Monetary Fund.
We need to reinvest in the capacity to produce quality ideas, not those sent to us from World Bank or IMF. That has been the problem. That's the first point I want to make. The second point I want to make is very important. Economic development requires a convergence between political institutions and economic institutions in the logic. So let's take an example. The Foreign Minister of Finance says that the Nigerian debt problem, is more of a revenue problem, a productivity problem, which is true. I mean, we are indebted, but our stock of debt is not too much. But our debt to revenue is very bad. Our debt servicing to revenue, at the point we are using about 98 naira out of every 100 naira to service debts. What that tells you is that we're not producing enough. Now the question then is, how do you produce enough? If your institutions, legal, political, is focused not on rewarding production, but on rewarding other criteria. So take our tax structure. The new proposed tax makes sense. Why should we be sharing revenue on the basis of population and size and not on the basis of contribution? So I don't want to provoke a political debate, but the point is this, that all countries that get the economy right have committed to a certain structure of reward that aims at incentivizing better and higher production.
Nigeria continues to grow population-wise at about 2.3% annually, which means that we have about 5 million Nigerians being born. Currently, we are about 222 million people, and that also is a challenge. We have so many mouths to feed, 5 million new additional mouths every year. So we must work not just by talking, not just by developing policies, but by actually working hard towards implementing those politics. I said that Nigeria is not short of policies for economic development. Well, I said that the problem with Nigeria is more geared towards implementation of those policies.
They also encourage leaders to pay more attention to the needs of the people and not weaponize their situation to score cheap political points.
You cannot be talking of 2027 when we're in 2025 and people are not even started anything in terms of empowerment. So listen to the people you are governing, feel their pulse. Don't just be talking of 2027, all the people are defected to one party and stuff like that. It's good, you can defect, you can support the man, but let the man also listen to what is happening to the people that he's governing. I don't think everybody is smiling as we speak. So they should make things easy for the masses that they are governing.
According to these stakeholders, every year, at least 5 million people are born in Nigeria, which increases its population and depletes the available resources, including infrastructure, and this further puts citizens in a state of lack. Hence, the need to encourage more production.